Well, Donald Trump and mortgage fraud just seem to go together like peanut butter and jelly, especially when you live in a glass house like Donald Trump and you accuse your political rivals and critics of committing mortgage fraud, like, taking out two loans, claiming both are your primary residence in order to get favorable mortgage loan treatment, or saying that you're not going to rent out your home for investment purposes, things like that. And Donald Trump used those attacks to go after Lisa Cook on the Federal Reserve to try to get her fired. That's been blocked for now by the United States Supreme Court, but we'll see for how long, claiming that that's crooked and criminal and should be there should be a criminal prosecution referral because she took out two loans from the same lender on two different properties and checked the box for primary residence. And lo and behold, he claims that Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, another major political rival of his, who successfully obtained a $400 million fraud judgment against him for mortgage fraud, that she committed mortgage fraud by saving $50 a month. $50 a month, everybody. She checked a box that said she wasn't going to rent the house out to anybody, and she let some of her family stay there. Oh, the crimes that are being committed. And then points to people like Adam Schiff, who says he has a couple of properties that he shouldn't own, both listed as his primary residence. And lo and behold, that got a lot of investigative reporters thinking, wonder if Donald Trump or anybody in his administration have done the exact same thing. And ProPublica has been on the case from day one. About a month or so ago, I reported that ProPublica had found that at least 20% of Donald Trump's cabinet, including his Treasury Secretary, his head of the Department of Labor, and the head of the Transportation Department, all had exactly the same types of double primary residence mortgage documents, meaning that banks let them check the box for primary to give them a slightly lower mortgage rate, and they took advantage of it. Because frankly, it's not a crime. It's not a crime if the banks aren't being defrauded, if they encourage you to check the box, if they want to give you the lower interest rate. That's between the mortgage lender, the banker, his underwriter at the bank, and his God. I mean, if there was any miscommunication on that issue. So that was the first reporting. But now we got brand new reporting that ties it directly to Donald Trump. See, back in 1993 and 1994, when Donald Trump was trying to figure out whether he could live at Mar-a-Lago year-round as a residence and hadn't gotten that approved yet because it was a club, and he was still living in New York, crushed under the weight of $700 or $800 million worth of bankruptcy debt. Oh, yes. He decided to buy a couple of pieces of property in Palm Beach, adjacent to or near Mar-a-Lago. One for about $500,000 mortgage and the other for about $1.2 million. And he claimed in those mortgage documents, according to ProPublica, who got a copy of them from the Merrill Lynch bank documents, he claimed that both were going to be his primary residences, that he was going to relocate within the next 6 months, and he was going to live in both houses as his primary residence. You see the problem already? First of all, he never relocated to Florida, except in 2007. He stayed in New York, or actually 2019 became his permanent residence. He always split time between New York, which was his residence, and Florida. But he checked the box for this primary residence for two pieces of property. He never lived in either piece of property, according to a real estate agent who helped rent out the properties. Instead, he always rented them out at $2,000 and $3,000 a day to people that wanted to stay in these investment properties. So Donald Trump, seeing these facts about somebody else, would say they are, quoting him, "This is deceitful and criminal and crooked." Bill Pulte, who's the Nepo baby that runs Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac, who went after, on behalf of Donald Trump, Lisa Cook on the Federal Reserve, Letitia James, New York Attorney General, Adam Schiff, all for quote-unquote mortgage fraud. He said about, for instance, about this type of double primary residence box checking, the way that Donald Trump did it, that should subject the person to it's a crime and there should be a criminal prosecution referral. And then he made a prosecution referral to the Department of Justice. Now, Bill Pulte's interesting because even his own parents have committed what he refers to as mortgage fraud. because they claimed a property in Michigan as their primary residence when they really lived in Palm Beach County, Florida the whole time. Now, the Michigan tax collector has gotten back the money for that quote unquote fraud by Bill Pulte's own parents.
Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the MeidasTouch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popok's new law firm. It's called the Popok Firm. Michael Popok's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Meidas Mighty and legal AFers who were approaching Michael Popok with their cases and saying, can you help us? And at that time, Popok was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popok Firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popok's firm is free. Give him a call, see if you have a case. It's thepopokfirm.com, thepopokfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, P-O-P-O-K-A-F. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popok a call, and I'm really proud of you, Popok. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in.
So I also found that the defense that the Trump administration, White House, is using actually helps Lisa Cook in her case against Donald Trump. So if you're listening, Lisa Cook's lawyers, Abby Lowell, listen to this one. Because the White House said the following. They said that since the same lender for Donald Trump Merrill Lynch was being used for both loans, there could be no defraudation. That's a big word, defraudation, and it would be illogical for the same lender to have approved the loans and defrauded themselves. And so a fraud case would be illogical. And then, of course, they went off, oh, this is just another leftist attack on Donald Trump, and all that. Okay. Now, Lisa Cook on the Federal Reserve took out 2 mortgages, one for her primary residence in Michigan and one for a vacation home in Atlanta. Took it out from the same credit union. Checked the box because I'm sure she was told to do it by her loan officer to get her the better rate primary residences. She never made, Atlanta was always a second home for her, and she lives in Michigan. But this is the exact same thing that the White House has just said is the defense for Donald Trump. Same lender, couldn't defraud themselves, no crime here. Same for Lisa Cook. So if I'm Abby Lowell and Lisa Cook's lawyers, I file an updated set of material to the United States Supreme Court and to supplement the record and do it below as well. Because the Supreme Court said they're going to hold oral argument about whether Donald Trump can fire Lisa Cook, whether he has the cause to fire her based on these allegations of mortgage fraud unproven. That's going to be front and center in January and an oral argument with the United States Supreme Court, which of course we will follow on Legal AF YouTube channel. Come over there, become a subscriber there as well. I'm going to follow all of this double talk, all of this don't do as I say, do as I do, whatever the phrase is that Donald Trump and his minions are using to defend his own mortgage fraud. The reality is none of this is mortgage fraud. This is all commercially acceptable practices within banks to reward or benefit clients. Underwriting in the bank knows that this isn't the primary residence or knows there's more than one. It's very simple to do a title record search to find out if the person has a second home or not, has a first home or not, is renting out the home or not. There's plenty of ways and due diligence a bank to determine, which they're obligated to do, whether there's fraud, because there's no fraud here. I don't think Scott Bessent committed mortgage fraud. I don't think the labor secretary did. I don't even think Donald Trump did. Certainly, it was 40 years ago. But we'll continue to follow it. The complete lack of ethics as Donald Trump uses perfectly acceptable conduct that he himself did to go after his political enemies. Until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.